Do you know that feeling when you make a cool 4 to 8 bar loop and then your brain kind of checks out? Turning that loop into a full track suddenly feels like a completely different skill. I know that feeling really well. I've been stuck in that loop prison for years. But today I want to show you a simple system that helps you to escape it. How to give your idea a clear structure and stop overthinking. So let's jump in. Alright, so this is where most producers get stuck, because from this point on, arrangement already starts. This is actually the moment where your brain goes like, okay, now what? Do I extend this? Do I build the break? Do I add more melodies? And that's exactly how you end up in the loop prison for hours. But I give you some tips today to avoid this. So step 1 in my system is not adding more sounds. Step 1 is structure. We're going to give this idea a clear place in the timeline. And we'll build a simple map for the whole track before we obsess over details. So first I like to decide where this idea lives. For me, this loop is clearly a main drop moment. So I'm going to place it way later in the track. And now I create a few simple markers to outline the story of the track. Nothing fancy, just the classic sections we all know. And I do this with some empty patterns so that nothing can go wrong and we see exactly where those sections are. We're in electronic music, so first we need a part where you can mix into this track in DJ sets. So the first 8 to 16 bars. So this is our intro section. Small tip, by the way, if you press Alt plus T on your keyboard, you can set a marker directly in the playlist. So next up is part 1, usually around 16 bars, followed by the build up 4 to 8 bars. So let's also move our lead even further back like this. And this is where drop number 1 starts. Again, 8 to 16 bars, and this is where our main lead idea lives. After that usually comes the second part or the break section, more or less as long as the first part. Then the build up again and drop number 2. And at the end, outro to mix out of the track. So you already see this very simple structure right here. And with this you already have a roadmap and the project already looks much less terrifying. What I can also recommend is using a lot of color coding, especially in the mixer section. In my case, I color code the different section, like one for the kick, one for the bass, one for the drums, for the lead. You can use your own system that works for you. But I recommend to build this one time, then to save it as your default. So this is your template from that point on. And the next time you start a project, you're not sitting in front of an entirely empty project. You already have a structure. You already have your framework that works best for you. Believe me, that helps a lot. So you already have sections, markers, maybe even some colored groups, and all you have to do is to drop in your new idea into that framework. And this is how you escape the loop prison before it even starts. You stop thinking in endless loops and start thinking in sections. So we got our structure on the timeline. We know where the intro is, where the break is, and where the drops are. Now we need something that actually moves the track through these sections. For me, that almost always starts with some drums. The nice thing about drums is they're structural. You can push the track forward a lot without spending a ton of creative energy on new melodies or sound design. So think about kick, clap, a couple of hats, and you already have so many elements to push the project forward. I already prepared a little bit, but it's not magic at all. If you want to know more about drums, I have a separate guide only on electronic music drums. In detail, you should check it out. So I'm also adding a rolling hat and an open hat and maybe also a clap on every other hit. I'm going to use this as my main drum pattern and then shape the different section just by muting and unmuting elements. So first let's stretch these drums across the whole track. Right now, this is way too busy for an intro or a break, but that's okay. Think of it as your full energy version, and we'll subtract from here. So let's start with the intro. In the intro, I don't want to give away the full groove. I just want a solid foundation for DJs to mix in with a little hint of what's coming. So here I just keep kick and maybe some simple hats. In the first part, I also don't want to give away the full drum loop from the start, but we need a slight change to the intro part. So let's remove the clap in the first half of the part. In the build-up, no drums at all. And then in the drop, again, what is really powerful is to only start with the kick and just let the lead shine completely. And then in the second part of the drop, the full drums come into effect. In the break section, we remove almost everything, for example. Second drop, full energy from start to finish. And the outro, again, like the intro, only a kick and some hats. Already looks like something, right? So just by taking one main drum pattern and shaping it with subtractive arrangement, muting here, adding there, we've turned our static loop into something that actually traveled through the song. That is the idea behind it. And we did that without designing new sounds, without writing 10 extra patterns, and without burning all our creative energy. And now that the drums are guiding this structure and the track roughly works from start to finish, the next step is to make it feel more alive with atmosphere, small details, and a few smart limits so that we don't overthink it. Alright, and now the fun part. So we already have this. And at this point, we've got three important things in place. A clear structure on the timeline, drums that move the track through that structure, and our main idea sitting in the drop. And now comes the part where a lot of people start to overthink again. You might be tempted to add a second lead, a counter melody, more arps. And before you know it, the track is overcrowded. And then you're not even sure anymore what the main idea was in the first place. So in this step, I try to keep it really simple. If I already have a lead, like this one, my next focus is not more melodies. My next focus is atmosphere. So around that lead, I just add a few atmospheric elements. Maybe a low pad or some noise sweeps. So all that kind of elements that are easy to create but contribute a lot to the whole soundscape. So let's exercise this through with a simple pad that is playing very simple chords. So in this element I can use almost everywhere because it adds texture and we can add it to our framework in the whole track. So in the first part, for example, in the break section, the second drop, and we are already one step further towards a full track. So and then maybe some simple effects like an impact riser, perfect for the gap between build up and drop. So we can place them strategically throughout the track. So maybe even a vocal sample, because samples are the easiest way to bring your song to the next level. So easy, right? And here's the important part. I give myself limits. Meaning for each section I say something like maximum 3 new elements here. Like we did in the drop here. We added a vocal sample, we added the pad, and we added some FX. Limits force you to make decisions. Instead of stacking 10 half interesting sounds, you stick to 2 or 3 that really support your initial idea. I also like to set a time limit. Something like 30 minutes to get from rough arrangement to a full version. No endless tweaking, no perfectionism, just to get it from start to finish. And when the timer is running, time is valuable after all. Is this the best pad sound I'll ever use? Because in this example it probably isn't. But I'm asking, does this make the section work? Yes or no? And if yes, I move on. And this is also, when you're at this stage, this is also a great moment to use reference tracks. Not to copy, but to see and compare if you're on the right track and the flow of your song feels right. So to sum this up, once the structure and drums are in place, I don't chase more and more ideas. I focus on atmosphere. I set strict limits for how many elements I allow. And I use reference tracks as a short sanity check, but not as a blueprint I have to copy. That is very important. Alright, quick recap. Step 1, build a simple structure on the timeline so your loop has a clear place in the song. Step 2, use drums to move through that structure with subtractive arrangement. Step 3, add just enough atmosphere, set limits, and use reference tracks so that you don't overthink it. If you want to see how I built the original drop of this melody, check out my video from last week. There we built a melodic techno drop in only 15 minutes. I link it on the screen and also in the description. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. It helps a lot. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next one.